Hi, I'm Dan Phillips. I'm a wildlife and landscape photographer based here in Carmarthen. Today we've got our hands on the Z8 and we're going to do a review of it. So one of the first things I've noticed about the camera on picking it up is the ergonomics. It feels really familiar in the hand. There's no grip like there is on the Z9, and that doesn't really bother me too much. All the buttons are laid out exactly where you'd expect them to be. And yeah, it's just something that always has kept me coming back to Nikon cameras. It's a familiar feeling, the familiar menu layout. And yeah, they're always great ergonomics, and the Z8 is no different. So we've just stopped here to change lenses because there's some plants here with insects buzzing around, so we might try and take some photos of those. And it's reminded me that another great feature of this camera is this sensor shield. So it might look like a shutter, but it's not. When you turn the camera off, this comes down and it protects the sensor and stops any dust or moisture or anything else getting in there. And this saves you a lot of time compared to other cameras like the Z6 and the Z7, where the sensors get dusty and you've got to clean them all the time. I never have to clean my Z9 because of this feature, so that's another great feature of the camera. So I'm about to put this 800mm onto the Z8, and I'm pretty interested to see how well this balances, because I'm used to carrying it with the Z9, which has the grip. So we'll see how it performs in the Z8. So on a day like today, it can be really hard to see the back screen on this because it's so bright, but the EVF is 3 times brighter than any other EVF on the market. That combined with the glass that's in front of it makes it a really nice electrical viewfinder to use. Let's go over some overall specs and sort of talking points of the camera. So outside to in, you've got the ports on the outside here. So you've got 2 USB-C ports. One is for sort of power delivery, so you can power the camera as you use it, and the other is for data transfer and that sort of stuff. So that's really useful for gimbal work. You can have a power bank attached to it and still have it connected to your gimbal and that sort of use case. You've got your standard HDMI, you've got your mic and your audio inputs on that side. And then card slots, you've got one CF Express card slot and one SD card. That differs from the Z9. On the Z9 it's 2 CF Express cards, but I think having the SD card is a really good decision because it makes it that much more accessible to people. So you've got one standard Nikon EL15 battery. It's the same battery you'll find in the Z6 and the Z7, so you can use it on this camera as well. So internally we've got a 45.7 megapixel stacked CMOS sensor, which allows you to take photos of up to 20 frames a second RAW and 120 frames a second JPEG with a 11 megapixel crop. We've also got in-body stabilization, which combined with the VR you get in the lenses, gives you fantastic stabilization for video and for photography. So you've got the same autofocus system in the Z8 as you find in the Z9, which gives you a range of different focus modes and subject tracking for people, animals, vehicles, and they've also added aeroplanes into this one. So it covers you in all sorts of subjects you might be photographing or filming. The features this camera packs in, you've got 20 frames a second RAW photos, you've got 120 frames a second JPEG if you want that, 8K internal RAW footage, the amazing focusing, subject to tech focusing system. All these things, I think at a price point of £3,999, I think make it the best hybrid mirrorless camera on the market. So yeah, I've really enjoyed using the Nikon Z8 today. It's very similar to the Z9, so it's quite a familiar experience for me to use it. But I think that's true even if I hadn't used the Z9 because the consistency through Nikon cameras is brilliant. They feel right in your hands. I've touched on this earlier, but they feel right in your hands. The buttons are right. The amount of features that are packed into the camera is amazing. The autofocus is the best one in Nikon so far. We had a bird land on a bush earlier and it found its eye straight away and I was able to photograph it. Yeah, and just the features like the video features, the photo features, all these things make it, I think, the most for your money that you're getting in any sort of hybrid mirrorless camera that's on the market today. I would get one of these myself personally for sort of gimbal work. I think the small form factor or long hikes, the lightweight and the small form factor is an advantage in that sense. It would fit on a gimbal really nicely, so yeah, it's something I might consider getting myself. Thank you for watching this video. I've really enjoyed using this camera today. My name is Dan Phillips again, just to recap on that. Thank you to Carmarthen Cameras and to Nikon for letting me use this camera and get my hands in it and get a feel for how it is. If you've got any questions about the camera or the video, pop them in the comments and ask away and somebody will get back to you there. If you could like and subscribe the video, that really helps Carmarthen Cameras grow the channel and hopefully bring you more sort of product reviews and videos like this one.